Hello, and welcome, chosen ones. Behind the carefully constructed facade of confidence, their inner turmoil rages like a storm. Every smile they muster, every calm word they speak, is a desperate attempt to mask the chaos unraveling within. The weight of their choices presses down on them, suffocating and inescapable, as the consequences of their actions loom closer with every passing moment. Letting you go was the hardest decision they've ever made, a wound that refuses to heal, a regret that burns deeper with each thought of what could have been. Yet they bury the pain, pretending it doesn't exist, even as it consumes them from the inside. They hide behind a mask of composure, shielding their true emotions from the world, terrified of exposing the cracks beneath the surface. Every step they take, every word they speak, is carefully calculated to maintain the illusion of control. But beneath the surface, the walls are caving in, and the weight of their loss is unbearable. They're clutching at fragments of a life that's slipping through their fingers, powerless to stop the collapse they know is inevitable. The strength they project is nothing more than a fragile veneer, hiding the desperation of someone who is slowly unraveling. You saw it all coming, the cracks in their foundation, the arrogance that blinded them to reality. They dismissed your words as bitterness, your warnings as empty threats, and your departure as weakness. But now, the empire they built on lies and intimidation has crumbled, and the world watches as their name, once a symbol of power and influence, becomes synonymous with disgrace. The same people who once feared them now point fingers, shaking their heads at the fall from grace. What they thought was invincibility was nothing more than a fragile illusion shattered by the truth they refused to face. The headlines blare across every screen, the once mighty figure now reduced to a shadow of their former self. The courtroom becomes a stage, their downfall the main act, as the world watches with bated breath. The flash of cameras captures their hollowed eyes, their shoulders weighed down by the gravity of their choices. There's no escaping the reckoning now. Every lie, every misstep has led them here. You watch from a distance, unshaken, knowing this was the only path their arrogance could have paved. No triumph, no vindication, just the quiet understanding that the truth always rises, no matter how deeply it's buried. The wheels of justice may turn slowly, but they grind with relentless precision, leaving no stone unturned. For years, they believed their secrets were safe, hidden beneath layers of deception and loyalty, bought at a high price. But loyalty is fragile when survival is at stake, and now the very people who once protected them have become the architects of their downfall. Every whispered confession, every unearthed document, every damning detail has built an unbreakable case. As they sit in the courtroom, the weight of inevitability presses heavily on their shoulders. The allies they trusted have vanished, the power they wielded has crumbled, and the walls of their carefully constructed empire have collapsed, leaving them trapped with no escape, no redemption, and no hope. Their shoulders slump, the last remnants of defiance slipping away as the verdict echoes through the courtroom. The mask they wore for so long, the mask of power, invincibility, and control, has shattered completely. They sit motionless, their hands trembling as the reality sinks in. There is no escape, no more lies to spin, no more illusions to hide behind. The weight of their choices settles heavily on their chest, suffocating and inescapable. The room is silent except for the murmur of onlookers, but in their mind, it's deafening. The memories of every decision, every betrayal, every moment they thought they were untouchable. This is the end they never believed would come, and now, with hollow eyes and a broken spirit, they face the truth they spent a lifetime avoiding. For years, they believed they were untouchable, cloaked in the illusion of invincibility they had so meticulously crafted. They moved like shadows, erasing every trace, silencing every voice, and bending the rules to their will. But the truth has a way of surfacing, no matter how deeply it's buried. The universe doesn't forget, and neither does justice. It doesn't bend to power or status. It doesn't flinch at wealth or privilege. It moves steadily, unrelenting, until every hidden lie is dragged into the light. Today, the world sees them for what they truly are, stripped of their facade. There is no need for celebration. Their downfall is its own reckoning, a reminder that no one is truly above the truth. They built their empire on a foundation of deceit, believing the layers of wealth and influence would shield them forever. But the truth is patient, and lies are never truly buried. They linger, waiting for the cracks to appear. Now the cracks have widened, and the past they thought they had erased is piecing itself back together, one damning detail at a time. Investigators sift through the wreckage, uncovering secrets that were never meant to see the light of day. Every document, every hidden account, every silenced voice tells a story of corruption deeper than anyone imagined. The facade is crumbling, and beneath it lies a rot so pervasive it threatens to consume everything they once held dear. The web they wove so carefully is unraveling thread by thread, each strand revealing the depths of their deceit. The offshore accounts once thought impenetrable are now wide open to scrutiny. The deleted emails, thought to be lost forever, have returned as undeniable proof. Even the encrypted messages, their last line of defense, have betrayed them. The very tools they used to control, manipulate, and erase their wrongdoings have turned against them, exposing every forged document, every shadowy deal, every reckless signature. They believed they could erase the past, but the digital fingerprints they left behind have risen like ghosts, haunting them with the truth they tried so desperately to bury. There is no hiding now. Every lie they told has come back to confront them. The walls are closing in, not from the outside, but from within the very circle they once controlled. The people they trusted to protect their secrets, to stand by their side no matter the cost, have now become the loudest voices against them. Fear has replaced loyalty, and self-preservation has turned allies into accusers. Every whispered conversation, every handshake deal, every calculated betrayal is now being laid bare in meticulous detail. The courtroom echoes with their names, their actions, their crimes, as former confidants unravel the web they once wove together. They sit in silence, the weight of each testimony crushing their illusion of control. They are no longer the architects of deception. They are the centerpiece of its collapse, the undeniable evidence that justice has finally caught up to them. Their empire, once built on lies and illusions, now stands as a monument to their arrogance, crumbling under the weight of undeniable truth. The sealed indictments, the official records, the ink that binds their crimes to history, these are the markers of their undoing. They once moved with confidence, their voices steady, their gazes sharp, but now the cracks show. The frantic whispers grow louder, the nervous glances more frequent, and their once commanding voices falter with every word. They believed they had mastered the system, bending it to their will, but the system has turned against them. Truth, relentless and unyielding, has swept through their carefully constructed facade, leaving nothing but ruin in its wake. The fortress they built, once impenetrable, is now nothing more than a cage. Every move they make is scrutinized, every word they speak dissected, every action recorded and cataloged as evidence against them. The system they mocked for so long is now their captor, relentless and methodical. Their high-powered lawyers, once their shield, now sit in silence, their strategies exhausted, their confidence eroded. The excuses that once bought them time now fall on deaf ears, and the charm they wielded so effortlessly has lost its power. Subpoenas pile up, each one a nail in the coffin of their delusion. Their allies, once bound by loyalty or fear, are turning against them, trading secrets for survival. They scramble for an escape, but every path leads back to the same truth: there is no way out. The inevitability they refuse to acknowledge has arrived, and as the walls close in, they are left with nothing but the weight of their own downfall. Their world was built on glittering facades, a kingdom of wealth that dazzled and blinded everyone around them. They moved through life untouchable, their confidence burning like a spotlight, drawing people in and keeping them tethered with gifts that felt like blessings but were really chains. Every dollar they spent wasn't just currency, it was control, a way to manipulate and dominate. But now, the empire has crumbled. The cars, the clothes, the clubs, they're all gone, leaving behind only echoes of what used to be. The people who once swarmed around them have disappeared too, their loyalty as fleeting as the money that bought it. And now, without the armor of wealth, they're exposed. Just another person trying to navigate a world that no longer bends to their will. The power they once wielded, so intricately tied to their wealth, has vanished like smoke in the wind. The cars that once roared with authority now sit abandoned, repossessed, or sold off in desperation. The designer clothes that once draped them in untouchable confidence now hang limp in forgotten closets, replaced by the stark reality of their downfall. They move differently now, hesitant, unsure, stripped of the arrogance that once defined them. The people they bought with lavish gifts and extravagant gestures have disappeared, their loyalty as fleeting as the money that secured it. The world that once catered to their every whim no longer recognizes them. Where there were once open doors and red carpets, there are now cold stares and locked gates. The illusion of power, so carefully crafted, has crumbled, leaving behind nothing but the hollow shell of who they used to be. You watch as their facade crumbles, the cracks spreading faster than they can hide them. The desperation is palpable now, etched into every strained smile, every trembling word. They reach out to anyone who will listen, their voices laced with hollow promises and shallow remorse. But the truth is clear. They don't miss the trust they betrayed or the lives they ruined. They miss the power, the privilege, the untouchable status they once flaunted. Their apologies are rehearsed, their regret a performance, all in the hope of clawing back a fraction of what they've lost. But no one is fooled. The world sees them for what they are, not repentant, but ruined, scrambling to rebuild a kingdom that was never meant to last. You stand on the sidelines, not with malice, but with a quiet understanding of how the mighty have fallen. They once wore their wealth like armor, shielding themselves from the struggles they dismissed as weakness. Just work harder, they said, as if effort alone could erase inequality. But now, stripped of their facade, they've become what they once mocked: vulnerable, uncertain, and desperate. The doors they once slammed shut on others now remain closed to them. The couches they once looked down on are now their refuge. The eviction notices they laughed off as someone else's problem now bear their names. They're learning the hard truth they refused to see. Money wasn't power, it was a mask, and without it, they're no different than anyone else. Reality doesn't play favorites, and now it's staring them in the face, unrelenting and cold. The same streets they once passed through with indifference now feel endless under their feet, each step a reminder of what they've lost. They still carry the air of entitlement, the belief that the world owes them a way back, but the world isn't listening. The phones stay silent, the doors stay closed, and the people they once controlled have long since turned away. They're learning, slowly and painfully, that the power they thought they wielded was never truly theirs. It was borrowed, built on the backs of others, and destined to crumble. They can't see it yet, but this isn't just bad luck. It's the weight of their choices catching up to them, the inescapable truth that when you build a life on sand, the tide will always come to wash it away. Chosen ones, pause for a moment and take action. Subscribe to the channel and share this message with those who need it. You are here because you are ready. Ready to step into the power that has always been within you, ready to rise above the noise of doubt and fear, ready to claim the life you were destined to create. This moment is not an accident. It is the culmination of every step you've taken, every challenge you've faced, every whisper of your soul urging you to become more. The call is clear. No more waiting, no more shrinking, no more second-guessing the fire that burns within you. You are not here to follow. You are here to lead, to inspire, to ignite a revolution of purpose and possibility. The world doesn't need another dream deferred. It needs your courage, your vision, your unique light. So take the leap, trust the path, and know that with every bold action you take, you are paving the way for others to do the same. Together, we are not just changing the story, we are rewriting it entirely. The time to rise is now. The world is waiting for you. You've watched the cracks form, small at first, hidden behind forced smiles and calculated words. They were masters of illusion, crafting a world where their power seemed unshakable, their confidence untouchable. But now, the curtain has fallen. Alone in the stillness, there's no one left to fool, no applause to mask the sound of their unraveling. The silence is deafening, filled with the echoes of every lie they told, every truth they buried. They can't outrun it anymore. The weight of their choices, the emptiness of their victories, the hollowness of a life built on pretense. The world they constructed was never real, and now they're left with nothing but the ruins of their own making. The masks they wore so proudly have become their prison, and in the darkness, they're finally forced to face what they've always feared the most, themselves. They sit in the dim glow of their phone screen, scrolling endlessly, searching for something, anything, that might bring back the sense of control they once had. The silence around them is suffocating, broken only by the sound of their own restless breaths. Once they were untouchable, or so they thought, mocking the struggles of others as if misfortune was a choice. Now they know better. They feel the weight of every decision, every moment of arrogance, pressing down on them like a storm they can't escape. But it's not regret that consumes them, it's the emptiness, the fear that their name no longer holds power, that their absence has gone unnoticed. They don't mourn the people they've lost, they mourn the identity they built on shallow victories and fleeting recognition. The world moves on without them, and for the first time, they realize they were never as indispensable as they believed. You don't need to see the pieces fall to know the collapse was inevitable. It was always there, lurking beneath the surface of their confidence, a quiet, gnawing fragility they worked so hard to disguise. They built their world on borrowed strength, on the illusion of permanence, but illusions were never meant to last. Now the weight of truth has done what they feared most. It has stripped them bare. Their regret isn't born of self-awareness, it's born of the emptiness left behind when their power slipped through their fingers. They fought so hard to convince the world of their invincibility, but deep down they knew the truth. The cracks were always there, waiting to split wide open. And now, as they stand amidst the wreckage, they're faced with a reality they can't escape. Their rise was never built to withstand the fall. You watch as they stumble through the wreckage of their carefully curated image, desperately trying to patch the cracks with hollow gestures and rehearsed apologies. It's not redemption they seek, it's survival. They've spent so long hiding behind the veneer of power that now, stripped bare, they don't know who they are without it. The sudden shift in their tone, the overly polished statements, the crocodile tears, they're all just another act in a performance that's finally falling flat. The world sees through it now, the transparency of their desperation laid bare for all to witness. They aren't trying to make amends, they're trying to rewrite the narrative, to reclaim a version of themselves that no longer exists. But the harder they grasp, the more it slips away, leaving them exposed in the harsh light of truth. They stand on stages now, bathed in artificial light, their voices trembling with carefully rehearsed emotion. They talk of redemption, of lessons learned, of becoming better people, but every word feels like a script written for an audience they're desperate to win back. Their donations are headlines, not acts of kindness. Their campaigns are shields, not bridges. You've seen this act before, the hollow gestures, the empty smiles, the desperate attempts to rewrite a story that everyone already knows. This isn't about making amends. It's about burying the truth under a mountain of performative virtue. They don't seek forgiveness. They seek control, a way to twist the narrative until even they can't tell what's real. But no matter how much they give, how loudly they proclaim their transformation, the cracks remain, and the truth lingers just beneath the surface, waiting to be seen. You've heard it all before, the tired excuses, the self-pitying cries of victimhood, the desperate claims of being misunderstood. They blame the media, the public, anyone but themselves, spinning a narrative where they are the ones wronged. But this time, the world isn't buying it. The blind loyalty they once commanded has dissolved, replaced by the sharp clarity of those who finally see them for what they are. The same voices that once cheered them on are now calling them out, exposing every lie, every manipulation. And you watch it all unfold, not with malice, but with the quiet assurance that this is how it was always meant to end. Every calculated apology, every attempt to claw back sympathy, only digs them deeper into the hole they created. They can't see it yet, but their downfall isn't a loss. It's the reckoning they've evaded for far too long. Justice isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the silence that follows when no one believes them anymore. They used to scoff at your ambition, rolling their eyes at every step you took toward a dream they couldn't comprehend. Their laughter once echoed in your mind, a reminder of the doubt they tried to plant in you. But now, the tables have turned. You're no longer just proving them wrong, you're proving yourself right. Every milestone you reach, every triumph you claim, is a testament to the resilience they underestimated. You've built a life they can only observe from afar, their envy a quiet acknowledgement of everything they've lost. While they flounder in the chaos of their own making, you rise higher, untouchable, unstoppable. Your success isn't just revenge, it's a masterpiece, painted with every stroke of determination they thought you didn't have. They once held the pen to your story, scribbling over your chapters with their control, their arrogance, their belief that you would forever remain beneath them. But now, the narrative has shifted, and they're left grasping at the edges of a story they no longer belong to. They call for you, but their voices are faint, drowned out by the sound of your ascent. You've risen beyond their reach, untouchable and unbothered, leaving them to wrestle with the truth they refuse to see. They were never the foundation of your success. They were the weight you shed to soar. And as they stand in the shadow of your triumph, they finally understand the price of their choices. They could have walked beside you, shared in your victories, but instead, they chose to stand in your way. Now, the chaos they once used to control you has disappeared, replaced by your calm, steady rise. You're not just winning, you're free. There's a strange stillness now, one you never expected. For so long their presence loomed, their schemes a constant shadow over your life. But now, the silence isn't a trap, it's freedom. They've run out of moves, out of tricks, out of power. The fear they once wielded like a weapon is dull, useless against the person you've become. You see it now. They're not staying away out of respect or growth. They're staying away because they're defeated. The control they clung to has slipped through their fingers, and all that's left is the emptiness of their own making. You've risen beyond their reach, and they're left clutching at memories of a time when they thought they could break you. But you're unbreakable now, untouchable, and the only thing they have left to hold on to is the realization that they've lost you forever. The silence speaks louder than their words ever could. No more shouting, no more ultimatums, just faint echoes of what used to be, a missed call, a vague message, a fleeting reminder of their presence. But this time, it doesn't rattle you. Their desperation is quiet, almost pitiful, stripped of the power it once held over you. You've stepped into a new chapter, one where their reach doesn't extend, where their attempts to pull you back feel more like whispers, lost in the wind. They're no longer the storm, they're the aftermath, scattered and powerless, while you stand in the calm you fought so hard to create. This isn't just freedom, it's the realization that they can't follow you here. They reach out with a casual tone, pretending the past never happened, as if the wounds they left behind have magically healed. But you see through the facade, the calculated timing, the hollow words. This isn't about reconciliation, it's about survival. Theirs, not yours. Their foundation has crumbled, and now they're grasping for the one thing they once took for granted, you. But you've grown beyond their reach, beyond their games. Their apologies are absent, their sincerity non-existent, replaced with veiled attempts to draw you back into a world you've outgrown. You don't respond, not because you're bitter, but because you've found peace in letting go. You've built a life where their chaos has no place, and even they can sense it. The door they once thought would always be open is closed now, not with malice, but with the quiet finality of someone who has moved on. You never noticed how much of yourself you had given away until you finally got it back. For so long you existed in survival mode, carrying the invisible burdens they placed on you, navigating a maze of their making. But now, the maze is gone, and so is the weight. The quiet isn't just silence, it's clarity. Your thoughts are your own, your choices untainted by their influence. It's not a grand revelation, but a steady shift, like sunlight slowly filling a dark room. You feel it in the small things, the way you laugh without hesitation, the way you trust your instincts without fear, the way you finally have the energy to dream again. The space they once occupied is now filled with hope, with possibility, with you. And for the first time in a long time, you feel whole. When the dust settles, clarity takes its place. The relationships that once felt heavy, forced, and transactional dissolve, making room for something real. Connections built on trust, not survival. For the first time, you see people as they are, not as they pretended to be, and the weight of their illusions no longer burdens you. Their fall wasn't just their undoing, it was your liberation. You've stepped into a life where peace replaces chaos, where authenticity replaces performance. The power they wielded was nothing more than a mask for their fear, their desperation, their emptiness. They thrived on manipulation, convincing the world they were untouchable, but now the veil is gone. Everyone sees the truth, and so do you. You're free to live, free to breathe, and free to build a life that isn't shaped by their shadows. They thrived on appearances, building their world out of smoke and mirrors, convincing everyone, including themselves, that they were unshakable. But strength isn't built on fear, and power isn't held through lies. When the pressure came, their foundation cracked, their mask shattered, and the truth spilled out for all to see. Beneath the facade was nothing but emptiness, no courage, no respect, no real authority. The control they once wielded evaporated, leaving them exposed to the bitter truth. They were never as powerful as they claimed to be. And you? You were the storm they couldn't weather, the force they couldn't manipulate, the one thing they could never break. While their illusions crumbled, you stood unshaken, proving that real strength doesn't need to be worn. It simply is. They tried to break you with every tool they had, twisting truths, planting doubt, weaving chaos, but they never understood that your strength was never theirs to control. They wanted you small, unsure, tethered to their lies, but you were always more than the confines of their manipulation. The moment you saw through their game was the moment their power unraveled. It wasn't real. It never was. Their influence only existed in the shadows of deception, thriving on the belief of others. But now, the light has exposed them, and the world sees what you've always known. They were nothing without the illusion. Their reign ended the second you stopped believing in it, and now they are nothing more than a memory of what could never truly hold you down.